All right, now let's see how we can work with individual characters. Here we have a few utility functions you need to be familiar with. One of them is lower. With this, we can check to see if a given character is lowercase or not. So here we can pass name of 0 and we'll get false. So let's print it on the terminal. There you go. We have another function called isUpper, which will return true in this case. We have isAlpha, which returns true if this character is alphabetic, meaning all the letters of alphabet. So all the characters from A to Z, uppercase or lowercase. So if we add a digit or a special character here, we're going to get false. Another useful function is digit. This returns true if we have a digit at this position, like this. And one more is space. So if we have a white space here, this returns true, okay? Now we also have functions for converting characters from uppercase to lowercase and vice versa. So if we call toUpper and give it a lowercase a, we'll get a number that represents the uppercase A. If you want to see the actual character, we can cast it to char or character. I told you that this is C style casting and it's better to use static cast in C++. But in this case, it's totally fine to use C style casting because of the values that this function returns. So if we give it a valid alphabetic character like A, we'll get the uppercase equivalent. If we give it a non-alphabetic character like a dash, we get that character itself. So the conversion always works. So there is no harm in using C style casting, okay? Now similarly, we have toLower. So if we pass an uppercase A, we get a lowercase a. Now these two functions are particularly useful in simplifying our conditional expressions. For example, we might have a character variable that represents something the user entered. Now, somewhere we might have a condition like if input equals a lowercase x or an uppercase X, then break out of a loop, okay? Now here we cannot use a break statement, but don't worry about that. What I want to point out is that we can simplify this expression like this. So toLower of input, we compare it with a lowercase x. This is the benefit of these functions. All right, here's a little fun exercise for you. Assume that the customer number should have 2 alphabetic characters followed by 4 digits. Write a function to validate a customer number. So your function should take a string and return a boolean. So spend a couple minutes on this, then come back see my solution. All right, let's do this. So we're going to define a function called isValid that takes a string called customer number. Now, in this function, first we have to check the length of this string. So if customer number, the length does not equal 6, then we're going to return false. Otherwise, if the length is correct, we want to make sure that the first 2 letters are alphabetic. So here we need a for loop for I equal to 0, while it's less than 2, I++. Now here we're going to check, we're going to call isAlpha and pass customer number of I. Now if the current character is not alphabetic, then we're going to return false again. That is invalid, right? Now after this for loop, we need another for loop for the next 4 characters. So we're going to start from position 2 and go all the way to the end of the string, customer number.length. Now we're going to call isDigit and give it customer number of I. Now if this is not a digit, again, that means this is an invalid customer number. Now finally, after the second for loop, if we end up here, that means our customer number satisfies all the criteria. So here we're going to return true. As simple as that. Let's test our implementation. So I'm going to declare a variable called number and set it to AB1234. It would be better to call this customer number, right? Now let's call isValid and give it our customer number and then print the result. So we get 1, good. Now what if we have a customer number that is more than 6 characters? That is false. What if we have fewer than 6 characters? Again, it's false. So as I always emphasize, test every scenario, every edge case. Now, what if the last letter here is an alphabetic character? That is invalid, good. Now, what if the first letter is a digit? Good. So this is how we can validate a customer number.